Something major is happening right now that most Americans barely realize. The United States is quietly reducing its military presence in Europe. Not all at once, not with a dramatic announcement, but steadily. Thousands of troops are already being removed from Germany. Forces on NATO's eastern flank are being reduced, and reports suggest the Pentagon may soon accelerate the process even further. That has European allies deeply worried, because for nearly 80 years, American troops in Europe have been one of the biggest reasons Russia never pushed further west after World War II. Now that security structure is beginning to change. Germany remains the center of America's military presence in Europe. U.S. bases there are not just symbolic. They support logistics, intelligence, rapid deployment, and operations across Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. Ramstein Air Base alone is one of the most important American military hubs in the world. But now, thousands of troops are being pulled out, and reports suggest the timeline could move even faster after the upcoming NATO conference. Some Republicans in Washington have openly criticized the decision, especially because reductions are also affecting NATO's eastern flank near Romania and the Black Sea region. Critics say this sends the wrong message to Russia at the worst possible time. But the Trump administration sees things differently. Trump has argued for years that Europe depends too heavily on American military protection, while spending too little on its own defense. And honestly, many European NATO countries did reduce military spending for decades after the Cold War ended. Now Washington says that era is over. The administration describes the troop reductions as a strategic rebalancing, shifting American focus toward China, the Indo-Pacific, and domestic priorities instead of carrying most of Europe's defense burden indefinitely. The message from Washington appears simple. If Europe wants security, Europe must take greater responsibility for defending itself. And Europe is responding. Defense spending across NATO countries in Europe has surged over the past 2 years. Germany has dramatically increased military investment after decades of relatively low defense budgets. Poland is rapidly expanding its armed forces and purchasing advanced weapon systems. Baltic countries like Estonia are spending huge portions of GDP on defense because they see Russia as a direct threat. For the first time in decades, Europe is seriously preparing for a future with less direct American protection. But there is still a major problem. Building military capability takes time. Modern armies cannot be rebuilt overnight. Training, logistics, weapons production, air defense systems, and military coordination all require years to fully develop. And that creates a dangerous transition period. America is stepping back now. But Europe may not be fully ready yet. That gap is what worries defense analysts the most, because Russia is watching all of this very carefully. From Moscow's perspective, reductions in American troop presence may reinforce the belief that Western unity is weakening. At the same time, Russia continues expanding military production, drone warfare capabilities, and pressure campaigns targeting NATO countries. There is also another major concern developing quietly behind the scenes. Earlier plans called for the United States to deploy long-range Tomahawk missiles in Germany as part of NATO's deterrent strategy against Russian missile systems in Kaliningrad. Now analysts fear those deployments could also be delayed or canceled as part of the broader military pullback. And that matters because deterrence depends not only on military strength, but also perception. If Russia believes NATO's military posture is weakening faster than Europe can compensate for it, strategic calculations inside the Kremlin could begin changing. That is why the upcoming NATO conference matters so much. The updated U.S. withdrawal plans could shape the future of European security for years. Can Europe build enough military strength quickly enough to replace parts of the American security umbrella? Will NATO remain united during this transition? And how will Russia respond if it sees new opportunities emerging? For decades, the answer to the question, what stops Russia from pushing further west, was simple: America. Now that answer is becoming less certain. Not overnight, but gradually. And the balance of power in Europe may be entering an entirely new phase.